Okay, all of you have come. Register numbers. Someone has Kunau. Kunau. And then Kavito Ajanta. Only 10. So this is 10 done. Endrandan, are you there? Let's see here. Dicham, have you come? I saw you, but your attendance is not here.
Yes, yes, sir.
You are here. Okay, you are put it also. Okay. Endrandan, Mr. CR, where are you? Rambitan hasn't come. There's no register number of Rambitan here. Rambitan is here. I think I gave him accept. Mr. Endrandan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What man? You already started sleeping. Yeah?
No,
This fellow,
I
what
was
is?
calling everyone up.
Okay, call
And
Menden.
Mendan didn't answer.
Menden didn't answer. Call that
Yes.
fellow. He's going to lose 100% attendance. Something
Morning,
really
morning.
bad. Rambitan is sitting and listening something else there. Okay, Wilson and Menden. You just call them Endrandan. Then we'll start the class.
Okay, sir.
All of you have met your guides. Everyone, you can unmute your mic and talk here. Everyone has met your guide on
Yes.
guides. Hmm?
No, not yet.
First of all,
All
go
right,
and meet
sir.
your
All right.
guides. Yeah. First of all, go and meet your guides. Okay. Then you decide what to do. First, it's a decide and go after 4 days. Your guide will say it's not okay. Then you'll have only 2 days left to fix everything. Okay. So first, by today evening, all of you go and meet your respective guides. Okay. Discuss with them what can be done, or because they have more knowledge than you. This is the first time you're doing, no? Okay, so they know a little bit more what to do, how to approach everything. Okay, so take the language that you are really interested and um, them. Menden's not picking, means leave him. What about Wilson? Will he come? Where this Yendrandan when gone? Tell him to come back. We'll start the class.
So, Wilson. So, kelas dah ulas na? Oh, sorry.
Dicham is missing now.
Sir, Wilson is coming.
5,
Okay.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Only 12 is here. Now Wilson, Dicham is again missing. Okay, anyway, start the class now. Okay, so regarding your project, all of you first go and meet your guide before deciding what to do on your own. Okay, so they have better experience and they will be able to guide you as to what you have to what you have to as to what you have to select or how you can select. They will give you some directions. Okay, if you want, you can ask me also someone, But before, don't go directly to a topic and choose on your own. Okay, first go and meet your guide. By today evening, everyone have a word with your guide. Okay, then you start deciding what to do, how to do everything later on. Understand everyone? Okay, so we will start today's class. Okay, first of all. So everyone is able to see my screen? Yeah. Okay. Right. So we have been looking in the past class about black box testing and white box testing. Okay. So I think who is coming inside now? Wilson. What happened? My mouse is suddenly not working. How to keep this for- Hmm. So everyone is able to see my screen, right? So we have been seeing about white box testing and black box testing. Okay. So if you see, for example, white box, as I told you here, white box means what? You are going to look into the internal details and all those things. Okay. The internal details, everything, that is called white box testing. Okay. So you take a system as a box and you'll be seeing at all the intricate details, everything. So you have to have some knowledge of coding. That is white box testing. Black box testing means what? You won't know what is the internal components of that, but you'll be just checking what is the input and whether you're getting the necessary output. So that is what to say in general, what is white box and black box. So combination of these two is the gray box testing. Okay. So now we have 4 sets of testing which we have to see. The second part of your second unit, that is integration, system, unit testing and acceptance testing. Okay. So to understand these better, yeah. Now you all know how software is built, okay? So in data structures, you have something called as divide and conquer strategy, which means you take a very big problem, a problem of building your software, divide it into small portions so that it can be managed easier. So this method is called as modular design. You divide your software into small modules which you build in sessions and then you assimilate everything together. Okay, so if you, for example, you take shipbuilding, the entire ship is not built from scratch. If you can see, it is made of bits and pieces. Okay, everything in the dock will be connected and welded together. Similarly, you take a bridge, there are different components where the girders, everything will be brought and placed only. So modular construction is a methodology that is used in many fields. Okay, you create all the components separately, then you join together each of them to create the final product as a whole. So now you can see in this diagram, for example, the topmost node. Okay, you can call the topmost node as the software. Okay, now the software can be divided into n number of modules. Here I have shown 3, but you can divide it into n number of modules. Okay, here it's only 3 different modules, which can further be divided into further sub modules. So one box which you see there, you can relate, you can have a white box testing on that particular box, or you can have a black box testing on that small box. Okay, the bottommost layer, which is called the leaf layer, is called as units. Okay, that is the bottommost layer or the fundamental part of the code. It can be a function, it can be a small form, or it can be literally anything. Okay, so you can, if you take the far right, you can see these two. Okay, so these two in the far right, these are submodules of the pair. They have one pair. Now once you have done this code, you will be doing unit testing on these 2 leaf nodes. and once they are done everything, you will integrate them to constellate the one that is on the top, okay, the immediate parent. And once that means what, the two blocks will be individually tested, so that is called unit testing. You're going to integrate this to the parent node, or two modules now is going to become a big module, so that is called integration testing. Finally, you keep on adding all the leaves or combining all the leaves into one big module, another module. Likewise, you end up with the entire software project. So that means what, it forms a system, correct? A system is what, it has a different components. So digestive system means you have your stomach, tongue, each one acts independently, but the output of one will be the input to the next one. So like that, they will have some communication, everything. That means what, this communication path, everything has to be tested, okay? So the first leaf nodal, when they combine with this particular tree, so this actually is a subtree. You can take the tree data structure. So the one that you see in the far left, this is one subtree, this is one subtree. Together it will form one module or one part of the system. Now these two, when they are integrated in the level on top, they will create another one, okay? So this is how you build your software. So before you come to this module separation, what you'll have a design. Based on the design only, you will be dividing your module. Before the design, what you'll have, requirements. Okay, before the requirement, the client will come and ask you, sir, I want a software for my bank. So that is what I'm telling you now in a mini project, to find out your problem. Okay, I am having a bank, or I am running a logistic company. I have a problem maintaining all the record. That is the problem. And you are giving a solution in the form of a software. Okay, so that means what? First, if I am going to create a tool for you, I need to know what is your working everything. So that's where the requirement comes. Then you analyze that. Then you create a design where you can create a software based on the requirements of the client. You implement that by dividing into modules. Modular design is the one that is used in software design. Once you do all the module, you integrate the different modules. So you have to continue testing that until, which is the next phase after software development. The next phase is what, testing. Okay, although both are separate, they are both intertwined. Okay, you no need to wait for the system design to get over completely. You can also start doing system testing parallelly. Okay, so we'll see at these things one by one. So the first one is actually what, unit testing. Okay, so unit testing is a level of software testing which tests the individual components, that is those that are in the leaf nodes. Okay, so its purpose is to validate whether all the inputs and all the small you may have many other, what to say, like the many other forms that, like registration. If you go to login form, you will have username and password, that is one form. You will have a sign up form, a forget password form. Okay, so if you take each of the form, one particular field, if you take, that is the smallest component. Okay, like telephone number. So if it's accepting 10 digits or more than 10 digits, okay, email address, whether it has an @@ symbol or not, these are all the smallest units. Okay, so combined you have 3 or 4 forms, together will make the login page. Able to understand that each and every one will be going on like that, one above the other. Okay, then you have what is the definition of unit testing? Unit testing is a way of testing a unit, which is the smallest piece of code that we can be logically isolated in a system. Okay, logical means or not physically separating that, but in a program, like for example, you take a line of code or a function. Okay, so that is the smallest logical unit which you can test. Okay, like for example, I told you telephone number, so that is the logical smallest unit you can take from a form. Okay, so that is what you do. So in most programs, that is a function, a subroutine, a method, or it can be even a property. So telephone number is actually a property because the value and attribute. It can also be a method, or it can be a function, subroutine, or whatever you want. So unit testing method. Okay, so it's performed using white box testing, which means what? White box testing, you have to know all the internal components, everything you have to test. Already you know white box testing, okay? So this is performed as the first level of software prior to the integration testing, okay? So it is the white box testing, you already know who performs it, the people with software knowledge, okay? So it's normally done by software developers. So the benefit of unit testing increases confidence in changing and maintaining code. Okay, so since you are fiddling with the bottommost level, a change there won't affect the entire system. Okay, you no need to do anything, it's very easy. The codes that are here can be reused. So suppose you don't want one particular code, you can put it somewhere else. Like if you take the login page, if I tell you, most of the fields are one and the same. Okay, and development is much faster, cost of fixing a defect is much lesser, debugging is easy, codes are more reliable in this particular stage. Now once you have crossed that particular stage, you come to the integration testing. So you can imagine, right, a couple of units you are bringing into one big module, so that is called as integration. So it's a level of software testing where individual units are combined and tested as a group. Okay, like login page, so the sign up window, everything, all three different units now you are bringing into one particular unit. So integration testing, this is a definition. Okay, testing performed to expose defects in the interfaces. So when you are combining two different units together, that means what, you have an interface, correct? So a login page is an interface with which will show up the login form first. You will have a link to go to the registration page, and you will have a link to go to the forget password page, correct? So together for all these form you have an interface. So that's why it's given here as it's an interface, and in the interactions between the interactive components. So once I press this particular button, where it's going, is it sending correctly to the database, because all three are connected to the same database, correct? Registration, forget password, and login, all are connected to the same database. So whether it's going correctly or not. Then component integration testing, testing performed to export defects in the interfaces and interaction between components. So that is also one thing that is done, component integration, different components. Then system integration testing, testing of different packages or some other modules if you have added inside, those kind of things you can also test it in integration testing. Here mainly use black box testing, white box testing, and gray box testing. All three can be used for integration testing. So when is integration done? It is the second level, okay, and it is as you know, white box testing can be done with software programmers, black box can be done with non-software performers. So that means what, here who performs integration testing? It can be literally anyone, okay, but most probably developers only do that. Okay, also sometimes independent testers can also be used. So these are some of the approaches for integration testing. Integration means what, you have to join different modules. So what is the methodology you're going to use? So there is one approach called Big Bang, where all the units are combined together at one go and test. Okay, then you have the classical top down and bottom up. Either you combine everything from the top or you combine everything from the bottom. So bottom up is mostly used, widely used. Top up is not much used. If you are using a spiral model or a rapid development model, you will go for a top down approach. But if you use a spiral or a waterfall, you will be going for a bottom up approach. A combination of top down and bottom up is called as a sandwich approach. Now comes to system testing. As I told, it's going up the hierarchy. So this is the third level. Okay, the purpose is to test a particular system. So as entire product will contain different systems. So you take a car, the air conditioning unit is a separate system. It doesn't have anything to do with the car's driving performance. Okay, of course it may decrease the torque because the power is shared, but it doesn't influence the way you're driving. That is in the mechanical sense I'm telling. Of course you can keep it cool and you will drive it very pleasantly, but it doesn't does anything with the mechanics of the car. Similarly, the tire pressure doesn't have to do anything with the gear or lever inside. So there are different systems, but everything has to run smoothly so that you will have a pleasant drive. So that same thing will come here. Software, if you take, is a bunch of different components which has to come together. Okay, like you take Microsoft Word, you have a home tab which has a bunch of options, you have a view tab which has a bunch of options, although those two are separate, but In order to view what you have put there, you need the view tab. Without that, you won't be able to view. But both of them are literally separate. Okay, so that's where the system testing comes in. So it's a process of testing an integrated system to verify that it meets all requirements. It uses the black box testing method. That means what? The person without the knowledge of the code is used. That's where the beta testing everything comes. So you can say, you might have heard WhatsApp has released its beta version. That means what? People who don't know anything about the software, they'll be sitting and testing it. Okay, so it is performed as a third level, and it's normally done by, since a black box, it will be done by independent performance testers. Okay, the last one that is being used is called as the acceptance testing. Okay, acceptance means what? Any product, it should be accepted by the person, right? A person wants a software, so they are giving you the requirements. Based on that, you are doing the analysis, what can be done and what cannot be done. Then you are designing the software, you're putting a design diagram, everything. Then you are actually dividing into modules and creating it. Then you are actually testing it. Now while you are testing, you can't just create a product and give to the person, okay, you take it and try it and use it. You can't tell that. A software is not like a motorcycle or something that you create. It has to be blended into an organization. Okay, no two banks are same. Each will have their own preferences. They will have different interest rate and all those things. So all the fine components have to be tuned so that the customer, the end user, okay, the customer in the sense the customer of that software, or the person who is going to interface with the software, feels comfortable using the machine for his or own purpose. So that's where the acceptance is incoming. It's the last level. Okay, so the purpose of this is to evaluate the system complements with the business requirement. So it's like literally in the business level, and it is the final step before delivery. Because if the person doesn't accept it, there's no use in giving to him. So it's a formal testing with respect to the user needs, requirement, their business practices. Okay, so it is whether it is used, it is conducted to determine whether a system satisfies the acceptance criteria, and to enable the user or customers or other authorized entity to determine whether or not to accept the particular system. Okay, it's normally a black box testing, because the end user is the one who is going to see whether I can accept or not. Now, the developer won't do that. It will be done by the client. Okay, so it's a black box testing. Okay, it's also known as alpha testing. Okay, you have customer acceptance testing, and user accepted. This is called beta testing. This is what you normally see everywhere. Okay, you might have heard the term beta testing everywhere. There is one called alpha test. Alpha test is internal, like Facebook, they will give it to the employees and first of all test it. Or Apple, they have created a product, they'll give it to the employees and test it in a small environment. So that is called alpha. Beta means what? It is given to the external people, customers, to know their user acceptance and everything. That will be given outside. So it's a fourth and last level of software testing before making the system available for actual use. So if you can see here, you have unit testing, integration testing, acceptance, and system and acceptance. So these are the levels of software. So as you go up, the progression goes up, the completeness increases, as also the time increases. You can see the bottom y-axis, x-axis is time, y is completeness. Okay, so as you go in one axle, so that means what? Time will increase and come. So by the time you come to acceptance, you will have a finite time, and the product will be completed. Unit testing, the completeness level will be less, and the time taken is little new, so it will progress one by one. Okay, so all of you understood this one. You can unmute your mics and talk.
Yeah, I'm here.
You are here. What did you understand?